I'm Brock,
I'm Trisha,
and this is Fast Lane Living.
because life doesn't slow down.
Hey, guys.
Welcome to Fast Lane Living.
Fast Lane Living.
Yeah, episode number 5.
Yeah, welcome.
Welcome. Sorry we missed you last week.
Yeah, what happened was we recorded a whole episode. We tried doing a different way of recording it, and we ended up putting in over an hour talking, and we couldn't hear any audio when we were done. The audio did not record, so we had just a video of us.
Yep, just us doing this.
Yep, we get so busy in between the weeks of recordings. We usually do one recording a week. Even that sometimes is pushing it for us.
Sometimes it's hard to get it in.
It's hard to get it in, just busy.
We are busy people, especially right now. We've got just a ton of stuff going on. We've got a graduating senior. We've got another kid who is an avid softball player. So she's full swing softball season right now. And end of the year stuff and work stuff, taking on a new project for work and just all kinds of stuff, right? So,
and
we get busy
and with
sometimes.
recordings, it's not just like, oh, hey, we have 8 minutes. Let's go and let's get into the mood and talk, right? Like sometimes like you hear us on here, but we're not always just like this way, like ready to talk.
Right.
We're like doing our thing. We got life, and
you got to mentally prepare for this, I think.
You definitely do. So when you just go from your regular life to like smack, you're right over here.
Yeah.
It's not how that is. So a lot of evenings we're like kind of caught up with other stuff where we maybe would have time, but it's like, oh man,
yeah, it's hard.
I don't have it in me right now.
That's the thing too. Sometimes it's just, you're just not in the brain space or whatever you want to say to be able to sit and kind of having somewhat of a conversation like this.
Right. And we hope that it's semi-entertaining and that it's worth listening to. So if we're on here just like tired and kind of sound like we're yawning, it's like, how fun is that for you?
Right.
So,
yeah. We usually spend at least, 10, 15 minutes, maybe 20, sometimes even more, just kind of before we recording, just kind of relaxing, getting loose, joking around a little bit, getting out of whatever brain space we were in before to be here. But
it's kind of different too. You put on the headphones, you got the mic in front of you.
Yeah.
And it's different, right? It's different from when you don't have the headphones on. It's you kind of just you hear your voice when you talk, you hear each other. And it's just kind of cool. So if anyone's not done it, then feel free to
give it a try. Yeah. It's fun.
So this last weekend was a busy weekend. We did not make it to it, but Darren had his annual Sporting Clays event, and sounds like it went really well.
The pictures looked awesome. I was really sad we weren't able to make it this year. Like I said, sometimes we have to choose. And we both had different events going on. Like, our kids had events and we had to even go separately to separate things, and it just wasn't going to work. So
so Darren had that. Sounds like it was a great deal.
Yeah,
and then,
definitely.
We had a softball tournament Saturday for our daughter.
Yeah.
And then later Saturday, I went and did a 5K run benefit for my friend Jesse that passed a year ago.
Yeah.
And so, that was kind of cool. I did a 0 prep K run with my son, which was the coolest part. So my daughter wasn't able to make it because she had softball. So, and she had actually planned on going to it. And so then it was like, hey, Junior, you want to do a 5K with me this Saturday?
Right.
And to my surprise, he didn't say no. So it was like, what? Okay, let's do this. So then he ended up having a couple of friends come too.
Right.
And so, we had a really good time.
Fun event.
Me and him kind of did it at a similar pace, little walking, little running.
Yeah.
And we had a good time together, though, just talking and doing our thing. And so, we don't spend as much time together as I'd like to. And so just doing that, it was really fun.
Yeah, and it's nice when you can do different things with the kids. And
so they're getting all grown up, right? They got grown up friends too, and you're having adult conversations with their friends, and it's like, wow,
it's crazy.
Where did the time go?
Yeah.
So love it.
For sure.
For
sure. Yeah. So and then we, now we're here, right? Getting in, what do we say, episode 5. So we were, our episode that we already recorded but didn't get any audio on. We wanted to talk to you guys about WallaWeigh here. So if you're just listening, we have some visuals this week, a little bit more than other weeks. So if you want to check it out on YouTube to see what we're talking about from time to time, we'll have it, on there too, so you can see. But we wanted to talk about WallaWeigh and go in a little more detail about that, how we came up with the idea, what it's like to invent something, where we're at in the process, and then kind of talk about what we're hoping to go in the future and go from there. So hopefully you guys will find something of value in here, and it helps you out if you ever thought of an idea. And I think that was one of our big things is, we're not like inventors.
We
I don't know. We weren't. We are now, right? But we're not. That was never like something we ever, I never like put it on my bucket list or anything either. It wasn't. It just kind of. We've always sat around and talked about, I guess,
a lot of what ifs.
Yeah.
Hey, what do you think if this was like this, or if there was something you could attach to here that would do this benefit or whatever?
Yep.
Like, I think that we kind of have just a mind like that.
Well, and I think with your career in auto repair, we're always thinking of different tools.
Yeah.
Wouldn't it be cool if there was a tool that made this easier? And and I think that's how it started. And then
I make a lot of my own tools when it's like,
right,
you have to make something that goes around a corner and upside down and wherever. You just take a few things, cut them apart, weld them together.
Yeah.
So it's like we've always been kind of crafty
that way. And I think it just kind of rolled into like other things then. We just started talking about other things.
If you limit yourself, you don't really think that way, right? But if you don't really limit yourself, it's easy to think kind of like what ifs, And so that's kind of what brought us to WallaWeigh is, we've always sort of had these ideas, but then we were on vacation and we were a night before we were leaving and we knew we were overloaded on our suitcases and we were comfortable at our Airbnb. We were doing our thing and getting kind of pre-packed, ready to go home. And we were pretty much positive that our baggage was over the 50-pound mark, and which is fine. It happens to everybody. However, we kind of looked around and we thought, there's no floor scale here. We don't really have a way to weigh this thing before we get to the airport. And, you get to the airport, you're in a foreign country. You're just really looking for as much smoothness as possible. And so, you get up to the front of the line and all of a sudden your bag's at 54 pounds, right? You had to get those sweatshirts, the souvenirs, the coffee cups.
We have a lot of coffee cups.
The everything, right? You go, you're like, hey, this is great. I got to bring this back. A couple of these little, pretend skulls and everything. What do you need this for? I don't know.
Right. So, well, and I do. We joke that it's my fault. I joke that it's my fault, right? People are like, how did you come up with the idea? And it's like, oh, I tend to pack a lot. And we've talked about the different ways of packing and all this stuff. But when you have 2 kids or, a whole family going on a trip, that was the thing. If it's just me, if I'm just traveling on my own for work, non-issue. Even if it's just me and him, a lot of times it's a non-issue because we have 2 checked bags, and between the 2 of us, we don't necessarily need more than that. When we get the kids with us and those things, and the toiletries get heavy and the stuff gets heavy and things get crazy, and then we buy stuff. And so we leave the house at like 49 pounds usually.
49.8.
I justify it by saying we're going to use our toiletries like shampoo, conditioner, body wash. And those are the heaviest things. So then that's my,
Either way, what it comes down to is
this is how we got here. I'm just
when you go out of town like that, though, you like to have all the stuff you need.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, this little tiny thing could make your day so much easier that you normally have. Oh, I'm going to leave it behind just to save 5 ounces, right? And so pretty soon you keep all these things, bring them all with you, and
they add up. They add up. Especially when you're going to a place where you're maybe not right next to a Walmart
CVS.
Or right. There's not something right down the street that you can
count
run
on that.
to.
There's nothing like that.
Yeah, where we were in Mexico, there's nothing like that. I think the closest traditional department store of any kind is at least over an hour drive away.
Yeah, and that would be like Walmart or whatever.
And that's on a road that is notorious for having several people die a year by hitting cows.
Right.
So
we just only travel it when you need to.
Right. We don't, especially not at night. But yeah, so that's what we were doing. We were having a great vacation and getting ready to head home, sitting at our Airbnb, and had a little bit of panic the night before. So we're sitting there having some drinks on the patio, just talking about getting ready to go home, talk about all this stuff. And we're like, wouldn't it be cool if there was just something here that we could just weigh our luggage with?
Yep, mount it to the wall. It doesn't go anywhere.
Right. It doesn't get little legs and walk away.
It stays right there. Flip it open. You can weigh your luggage, close it up when you're done. When you get to the airport, you're going to be set.
Yeah.
And it was like, how cool. We're like, somebody has that. Somebody has come up with that. And it's just, we haven't quite seen it.
Right. So we get on the Google machine, and we're still sitting at the Airbnb, just whatever. We get on the Google machine on our phones, and we can't find anything like it.
Nothing.
Nothing. And so we really were like, hey,
maybe we're on to something.
We're on to something here. So we ended up contacting, before we even left, I think Brock reached out to one of these companies that you see on TV that like
the
will help
caveman
you
chipping away on the wheel.
Yeah,
I'll help you take your product to market.
Right, that
whatever.
thing. And then we got home and we talked to them people. We started talking about it, seeing what happened, what their recommendations were. And
yeah, and they came back with, we definitely needed to start with a patent search.
Yep.
Right. So we did a full-blown patent search, cost a few $100, I believe.
Yeah.
And after a little bit of time, and that came back with nothing like it.
Yeah, they
nothing
said
like
that
it whatsoever.
they said that yeah, it looks like you got something here. So then it was provisional patent. So you apply for a provisional patent, which is essentially I think it's 12 months.
Yep.
That you kind of put your idea on hold, right? So you say, I have this idea and I want to see if I can actually make it a reality. But in the meantime, I'm letting everyone know that this is my idea. And so if anybody else tries to say that they came up with it, they can't, you
Right,
know.
right. No one's taking the idea on that.
Yeah.
thing.
And it gives you the opportunity then to be able to share your idea a little more without risking somebody being able to pirate your idea. You definitely have the risk of somebody pirating it, but changing it just enough to be able to squeak around it type of thing. Because with a patent, the rule is, and I'm not an expert by any means, but how it works is that your product or your idea, whatever it is that you're trying to patent, needs to be at least 30% different than another similar design. Right. So that's how you can get a part patent. And then with the patent, it's not like the whole thing is patent, right? Because we have a digital display board. Obviously, somebody else came up with a digital display board, but there's certain parts of your product that are patented in the way that it's used or the way that it functions on that. So that was all really interesting to learn about patenting products and what you're patenting and how it all works. It's a lot.
I didn't realize all the stuff it had to do.
No, not even close. I mean, there's so much. Yeah, then we kind of just were like, all right, let this company do its thing, right? Because it was what did they do? They did a video for us, they did animation.
Yep, they made an animation of it
Yeah.
in the works of working. Helped share it with some companies trying to gain some interest. And you know, and then with that 12-month preliminary patent, what
Yep.
did we call it? The
Provisional
patent. Yep. So then it gives you some time in there to kind of share the idea and see it's a, you know, a way to safely share the idea, and then kind of to see if you want to move forward with that.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so yeah, we were in month like 10 and a half,
Yeah.
maybe 11.
And nothing really, you know, we didn't have too much. Like part of that company idea was they would help you get your idea out there, share it with other companies, see if somebody wanted to, you know, help you design it, buy it, license it, whatever. And we kind of walked into it thinking that, yep, we're just going to put this idea down and somebody's going to love it and give us all kinds of money for it.
Just like fishing, yeah.
Just put the bait out there and get a bite and reel them in. And I think we realized that, okay, well, that's not exactly how it's going to work.
Right. And we don't even know for sure that they shared it. We don't know. We got a little feedback saying that it was shared with all these X and Y companies, but we don't know.
We don't know.
And that's okay.
Yeah. Yeah. So when we came up to that 1 year mark, when it was kind of like, it's time to move forward with a patent, if you're going to move forward with a patent, then we were like, all right, we have to decide if we want to get serious about this. We could either continue with that company, sign another contract type thing with, you know, their services that they were offering, or we could go our own path. So, and we talked about it. We decided, all right, well, we didn't really feel like the value was totally there with the company. We got value out of it for sure. We kind of felt like we could maybe do some things outside of there that could be beneficial, but we didn't really know how to do that. We had no idea what to do next. No idea. And so we just started talking to people. And I think that's one of the things that I realized through this process too, is resources are hard, right? That's the hardest part, is trying to figure out what you need to do next and where you need to go. And we found so many resources in just reaching out and just asking people, just talking to people and saying, hey, does anybody know anything about, or can anybody help with this social media and things like that? Like, it's been such an amazing resource for us. I think that's what's helped us move forward more than anything, is using our network to be able to find people. We didn't know that we already had people in our network that knew about what we needed next.
Right.
So,
and that's exactly what happened.
Yeah. Yeah.
Talk to some people, kind of spread the idea, share the idea. And pretty soon they're like, hey, have you ever talked to this person? Or, hey, have you ever thought about that? And it was kind of moving forward, right?
Yeah.
And so then we talked to a company that my stepdad retired from and kind of shared the idea on what we were up to. And I just knew that they were into manufacturing and I didn't know what, but I wanted to just get started, right? Let's see what this is. And they told us at the level that they're at, we weren't at their level yet. We weren't quite that far along, but we needed to try to get a company with maybe some engineers that could help us take this product and get a prototype. We really just needed a prototype to see if this is a working product or not. And so, then they introduced us to the company CAD in St. Michael, Minnesota. CAD has been a great company. They got engineers there, what a great company, man. We went to them with our idea, sat down at the table. I think we had 4 or 5 people. We all sat down together and just started talking about it, drawing it out.
Making some drawings.
How much it would need to be made for to sell it for this amount, what it would need to look like, how this all details on how it works.
Right. The mounting and this and like just really. And oh man, I remember after that meeting, I felt like, that was it. We've got it. We're done.
It was a great meeting.
It was right.
Because before that meeting, we didn't have anything locked in solid. We were like, so we could kind of show you that. I actually made a piece.
Yes, this was our first prototype.
This was our
made
first
by
prototype
us.
just to show the design. How does this go? I believe
that way, like that.
So this would, mount on the wall, and then this is actually an old gate hinge, so it would sit up like that. And then when you open it, this part would hit against the wall and stop. And then I was able to put actually a fishing scale on here where the hook came down through the bottom. And when you weigh it from there, and it would display the weight, that's pretty much showing the idea of what we were up to with that. And that actually worked really good.
Yeah.
And so that got us moving forward with the idea.
We're like, all right, okay, we're onto something here.
Yeah, as silly as that is.
Yeah. So we sat down with those guys and drawed it out and thought, all right, we're happening, something's happening. So moving forward there. And then we came up with our first, I don't know, I guess, functional prototype, I'd like to say.
They spent some time with all the details that we were looking for, and they kind of came up with this one here. I'm going to get a little closer to the camera. Can you see that? Yeah. So this one's like a block of billet or whatever. This thing is super nice. And so it's just showing you the idea there. So you can see the number on here. The scale opens up 90 degrees. You would press on the weight pad and that thing will show the weight. When you're done with it, close it right up and away you go.
Yeah.
So this thing wasn't made with all the features of, the later models where it would turn off by itself when you close it, nothing like that. But it was just to prove the point of kind of like we're on to something.
And so, so we were so excited to pick this up, go and pick it up. And then, it's functional, right? It's something we can actually try to hang something on and weigh. And we get it home and we put it on the wall and we flip down the arm.
Mm-hmm.
And we grabbed our biggest piece of luggage, because that's usually the one. And the arm isn't long enough to actually get it onto the scale.
This didn't stick out long enough. I think we needed about 1.5 more inches.
Yes.
Plus.
And the bag would hit the wall.
Plus a little lip, so it wouldn't slide off here and land on your toe or something.
Yeah. So we knew, okay, well, and we kind of had a little bit of giggle about that later, because we thought, man, out of all the things we talked about, we didn't talk about what actually the distance from the wall we needed that to be.
We didn't talk about that at all, did we?
You think, right? So, and back to the drawing board, right? We went, well, to give you guys kind of an idea of timeline, we came up with the idea, the initial vacation was in March of 2021.
It was 21.
Yep.
March 21.
March of 2021. So then this brings us to probably June of 22, do you think?
With CAD?
When we started meeting with CAD?
Oh, when we started meeting with them.
Yeah.
Let me think here.
I mean, it's kind of
something like that.
So we're talking mid-year 2022.
Yep.
So, a good year after we had the idea.
We almost didn't get the actual patent, as far as like we almost didn't apply for it after the 12 months.
We didn't know.
So then when we did do that, I can't remember where along the lines is that we started talking to CAD. It was probably after that, because that whole patent process, like then once we filed for it, then it's like, okay, now it's pending. And this could take up to 3 years, they said, to even hear back whether you can do this or not. And it was like, holy crap. So
right. Yeah. So it was, I would say mid 2022 that we were, so this was, so then it was back to the drawing board and let's make make the changes we want to. Let's update some things. Let's do some different things. What features are missing? And then we came up with our third prototype, I guess you could say, which was 3D printed here. And so this was this one, and this one was a lot closer to what we were needing, right? So we had a lip here to be able to hang the bag on. The arm extended long enough to be able to actually get the handle of the bag onto it. We changed the digital display so that it kind of gave it an angle so you could see it nice versus it being vertical, as well as then it would automatically shut off when you close the arm and automatically turn on when you open the arm to help with the ease of that. Also, this was with a switch. So this one had a switch where the arm actually had to make contact with the switch to shut it off versus our later model, which I'll show you in a second, does not have that. So yeah, this got really exciting. This is when it really got exciting because
now we have a working one that will hold the full size.
It'll hold the bag. It'll do the thing.
What does it go up to?
This one I think goes up to
99.9.
Yeah. And this one doesn't have we didn't have the 1000th or the 10th yet. Just saw numbers on this one, and that's all in like programming and things like that. So this was our third one, and this was really exciting. This is when we really started to go, okay, yep, for sure, this can be something. We've got it. We're gonna move forward with it, and we're gonna start telling people about it, right? And all this time we were still waiting to hear from the patent attorneys because that's the other thing we did during this time is we resourced a local patent attorney, and they've been amazing. Gallium Law here locally in the Twin Cities, they have just been what I feel like is just a godsend. And
yeah, they're great.
They saved us from what we didn't know was going to be a problem before it became a problem, and was able to catch that before it really could have been a detrimental problem for us. And then held our hand and got us through the whole rest of the process. Just such sharp people, knew exactly what they're doing. We talking to examiners and this and that. And like I said, I mean, we've got our approved patent now in February of this year.
Yep. That we had a little back and forth with the examiner, and they kept denying it, and
well, it's not even so much denying it, but what it is if they find any other art that has similarities, it has a lot to do with the language that you're using in it. So it's and that's why I say you can apply for a patent on your own. You do not have to have a patent attorney. There is ways to do it. I personally, unless you're really experienced in this and are very confident that you understand the process, I am glad I didn't do it that way. Right? Like it was pretty in depth. We have a book. Our patent is like a book.
Yep, it describes every piece in there.
Every piece in the thing. Yep. So you got to go back and forth with the examiners to get the language right. And it's probably so that it's very clear.
Right. When you want that.
And you do want that. You want it to be
for your own good.
You want it for your own protection as well, right? So that it is clear, so that there's not ambiguous language that somebody else can also use to pirate your product. So it was definitely a lot of back and forth there. They were amazing. Again, and once we knew that, yep, we're going forward with the patent. The product is viable. It can happen. We're going forward with the product. And then, the next step was getting it out there.
Yep.
And what do we do first? Trade show.
Yeah. We basically had some blind faith. We jumped on an airplane, went to a trade show in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. Yeah, with a friend of ours, Rob. He wanted to come with and help us just talk the word of WallaWeigh. Yeah, Rob's awesome. Right. Rob's a good friend of ours. But yeah, he went with, and we jumped on a plane, head out to South Carolina, and we're like, it's a hotel, motel, restaurant show.
Yep.
And we were like, we need to get out there, and we need to find out before we go like serious with this. We need to find out where we're at in this industry, because I guess just to let you know how we found out that we needed to be in this industry was one from our own experience at the Airbnb, but then we sort of started shifting our gears and thinking like, oh, everybody's going to want this. Everyone's going to want it in their house. It's going to be everywhere. And then all of a sudden, we kind of found out that it wasn't necessarily going to be for everybody's house, where we felt like the real market for this was going to be in the vacation rental industry, hotel industry, these places where they're going to get used 52 times a year. Right. And so that's what moved us into kind of that market. So we end up in South Carolina at the trade show or hospitality show.
Yeah.
Set up a booth. We got a backdrop. Everything we got was kind of last minute. Like, we got to get to this show. We had 6 weeks to get a backdrop and our materials and cards and displays and things. And we're going to go into an industry and do something we've never done. And so, here we go. Usually you'd like to go there and maybe like come back and you're like, all right, here's a plan on what we're going to do. And we're just like, here we go.
That's kind of how we do things though, I think.
Well, and it was
in
good.
a way.
I think it was a pretty welcoming reception. I think we had a lot of, we had enough
positive feedback to let us know that there is a market for this.
Yep. That we had a home.
Yep. That there was a spot for this product in that industry. That was really great. We had a lot of people, asking a lot of questions, things like that.
And giving some feedback
giving
right on the
really
spot.
Good feedback that really helped us to be able to, then make some even more changes to the product. It was this prototype, the third prototype we had here that we brought to the show to do. And so we went to that show not knowing at all what to expect. And I think we both felt we were pretty excited after saying, okay, like, people are interested in this. People say, they can see the use of the product. They can see it being beneficial to their guests, right? And that's the thing.
And then when we're in the hotel room the night before we were leaving, we had 3 big bags with all of our stuff from the show. And we were like, oh my God, if we had one of these on the wall in the room here, it would be the coolest. Because we had 3 bags that were all teetering 50 pounds.
Well, and here's the deal, right? We even thought at that show, we're staying at a hotel that's putting on a convention. And most of the people that are at the convention that are from out of town are staying at that hotel. And they have bags like we have bags, right? Like they're bringing all of their stuff and, they're
all trying to do the same thing.
They're all doing the same thing. So there's got to be more than one person. And in fact, even in the airport the next day where we were leaving, we saw somebody that we had talked to at the convention for quite a while. They were hotel owners out of New York. And they were laughing because they said the night before in their hotel room, they were like, man, we could really use that thing right now. So
it was good.
It was good.
And then
at the
same time in the airport while we were waiting for the plane, I got a call from somebody at the show saying they were looking to reserve their own,
Right?
It was like, wow,
it was
this
great.
is excellent.
Yeah. Yeah. So it was our first trade show we went to, and it was a 3-day trade show. First time I've done, I've helped out with trade shows in the past for experiences, but I've never been like the full on person. It's a lot
of,
the focus. You're the thing. Yeah. You do the thing.
Well, that was fun though. We talked to everybody. We just ourselves like, hey, we might be a little crude. I should say me, but like, you're just like, hey, I'm here. I'm excited. You can see it.
Yeah.
And hopefully you see it in my eyes that we got something fun here.
Yeah. So it was good. It was good. And we did, so then coming back, we're like, all right, now we really do have a focus. And I think we also learned through that time that is our market.
Yep.
We weren't sure because we had talked about a lot of different iterations with the scale as well. And although those aren't out of the question by any means of different uses for it, and different ways to use it, I think we both kind of learned that our best and highest and most valuable market is going to be in the hospitality industry at this time. So we were really focused on that. Then we kind of hyper-focused that this is what we're going to market to. This is what we need to look at. And it was time to, really start gathering market information and figuring out how to get out there, what people are going to think. And a big part of that was, we can say your clients want this to a hotel owner. Your clients will appreciate this. Where's the proof in the pudding, right? Especially when nobody's ever seen the product before. You can't miss something you don't know, right? Isn't there. And so it's kind of like one of those deals where I always compare it to the coffee maker in the hotel. So the history of a coffee maker in your hotel room actually started out as coffee makers in the lobby. It was the only place that they had a coffee available. And so you get up in the morning, you have to go all the way down to the lobby to get the coffee. And people are like, man, it's early in the morning. I'm at a hotel. I'm on vacation. It'd be really nice if I didn't have to travel all the way down to the lobby to wait in line to get a coffee. And then so they started putting them on each floor. That's how the vending rooms that you have on every floor of your hotels started. Was actually a coffee station. And so they would have coffee stations there. And so you'd go out of your room and you'd walk down to the coffee station, get your coffee, and it wasn't as bad. Line was less, it was a little quicker. And then it came down to, they were like, it'd be really nice if I didn't even have to leave my room, right? Especially as coffee makers became prevalent and everybody's home had one. They were easy. They were just easy appliances compared to some other things. They weren't these big contraptions anymore. Then it was, I'd really like to be able to do this in my room. And they said, okay, yeah, we're going to put coffee makers in every single room now. And I think that's a path that I see our product on. Because people it's not something they know about. It's not something they're used to seeing. You're going to put it in a hotel lobby. They're going to come out. They're going to say, oh, this is awesome. Check my bag before I leave. But then I think they'll realize too, what happens when your bag is over and you have to do some rearranging. It's not always awesome to do that in the lobby of the hotel. So either your options are to bring your bags back up to your room, rearrange them, bring them back down to reweigh them, or take care of it right there. It's much better than the airport, but not ideal. So we do see, as a progression of the product as people use it, I think they're going to realize that it saves them a lot of time, hassle, stress, money, all those things.
Well, and we found too, if you ask the hotel owners or the front desk people and you say like, you could kind of use this, right? And they'll say, well, people don't really ask us for scales. But then also we found out is that people don't ask because everybody wants to put out this facade that they're perfect and they've got everything figured out.
Yeah.
So if you even if you think your bag is over, like the general public kind of is like, I'm just going to kind of deal with what they tell me at the airport versus ask. And not seem like I'm all together.
Kind of, it is. Yeah. That was actually something I learned when researching marketing the product and things like that, and doing the marketing research towards hotels, was that hotel guests will often not ask a front desk staff. If there's a couple caveats to that as well, but for different items, because they, number one, don't want to feel like they don't have it all together. They're much more likely to ask about local things. Like they have no problem asking about what's the best coffee shop around, or where should I go to eat, or where should I go to have some fun, or things like that, because obviously that's not something they would know, and that's completely acceptable. But when it comes to travel items or things like that, like if they forget their toothbrush, they're less likely to ask a front desk person than to just go find one on their own, when a lot of times front desks of hotels have complimentary toothbrushes for people in case they do forget them, right? But they're much likely to just go buy a new one than to ask, because they don't want to have some embarrassment involved with not being prepared, right? Not being prepared. Yeah.
Yep.
So I found that really interesting. Just a little tidbit there.
Yeah, these are the things that you don't really think about when it comes to why you would want this in your hotel.
Right. Right.
And so.
Yeah. So we went to the Home and Garden Show here in Minneapolis, which is a big show.
It is. No, 5 days. 5 days of
46 hours.
44, 46. It was just talking to the general public, right? The hotel shows are these are all hoteliers, restaurant owners, things like that. Then you go to the Home and Garden Show and it is the general public.
Yeah. And that was our goal. We knew what we were doing there. We wanted to go, and we set up some surveys. So we had our product on display, our prototype, and we had some surveys of asking some questions about the products, and then as well as asking questions about how they would feel about the product in their hotel room or in their hotel, and it being available to them that way.
Yeah, things like, would you find it useful if this was in your hotel room?
Right.
Would you return to this hotel specifically because you found this useful in your hotel room? And so to find out some of these answers from the general public was really nice.
It really was. I mean, people thought, oh man, and especially when you're introducing a brand new product.
Yes.
That was the thing. They'd never seen it before, so they never thought about it could be in their hotel room. I remember a lot of the people going, I always wondered why they didn't have bathroom scales in hotels anymore. And so the answer to that is because, according to hoteliers and their research, there's a couple reasons, but number one, bathroom scales tend to maybe grow legs and walk off sometimes. And number two is actually the bigger thing, is they felt like people don't want to weigh themselves or find out how much they weigh on vacation. So that is why most of your hotels and things don't supply floor scales unless you ask.
Yeah, I don't know if I've ever seen one just sitting there.
Right. They're not in hotels. And a lot of Airbnbs don't because they say they don't get used there. But I've read many reviews or different things that are like wanting them not for to weigh yourself, but to weigh your luggage, right? So obviously people want to weigh their luggage. This is something that's out there and they go, hey, this is what I'm trying to do with this. And so there's a market for it. And I was really surprised when people are like, hey, this is a different way to do it. I would find that really useful if that was in my hotel room. Yep. That would be awesome.
That's genius.
That's genius, right? So we've heard that a lot of times. So we collected just a bunch of surveys.
We had 200 almost.
Oh, a little over 200, yeah. And so I think, and it was a whirlwind of time, but we learned a lot there too.
Well, that's
gave
good
us
stuff.
ideas for our last iteration.
Yep, and then we can get like stats from that, like, well, 7 out of 8 of your people going here would prefer it, and so it helps when we can kind of share that with the hotels because they don't always get that information from their guests.
They don't.
No,
and it's our responsibility as the product, the people who are representing the product, to tell them why it's a value to them. That I think it was 78% said it would increase their review.
Yeah. Well, think about it. What does your hotel do for you that's going to save you money after you leave there?
Right.
Like a coffee, if they give you a coffee, there's like, you saved $4, but I mean, if it's, I don't really know what else is going to actually like save you money by using it after you leave.
Stress.
You found out your bag's overweight. Think about that. It's 52 pounds and you got a couple of bags, so you can sift some stuff around.
I think it's $100 now.
And you leave there. How confident are you walking into that airport? I mean,
right. Well, you're just like, cool. I know I'm good. I can just get through this line, drop my bags off. I don't have to worry. I can go and be on my way. Yeah. Cause that is, I mean, nobody wants to wait in that line anyway.
Yep.
And definitely you don't want to be watching somebody unpack their bags, and you don't want to be unpacking your bags. Nobody wants to be there for that.
No. And and the other alternative is you just hand over your credit card.
Right. And that hurts too.
And that hurts.
Right. So. Nothing about is great.
So that brought us to our last iteration here. This is just about the very final product that there is. It's as close as it gets.
So we've got some labels on it here, and it's got all of our features.
Yeah, we added a couple of features. So if you look here, we got a pounds to kilograms switch. So you would turn this side to side and actually go from pounds to kilograms for international use or whoever wants to use that. And then we also have a tear button right up here. So we would hold it down for a couple seconds and zero it out.
For progressive reading, we changed the pad here. So the pad is designed to be able to...
You talk and I'll hold it by the camera like Vanna White.
Okay. So the pad there, as you can see, it has a little kind of valley. And we ended up doing a whole bunch of iterations of this pad to try to find the most accurate, right? Because when we initially had a flat pad, if you push the bag handle like to one side or the other, front or back on that space, it was up to like an 8-pound difference. So we worked with CAD and the designers there. They were awesome. They made us a bunch of different designs that we thought, okay, try this. Let's see what happens here. And we were able to come up with the best one to give us the most accurate reading over and over again. So we did that. We have, that digital display there on top, batteries in the front there. So that was really a good idea because it's a lot more easy access versus having to take it off the wall to replace the batteries. So you can super easy, just there you go. Boom, no big deal there. QR code on how to use it is going to be on the battery there.
You can go right to the website.
Yeah, you can check out our website right from that QR code, or you can always go to www.WallaWeigh.com, WEIGH. So it's and then a nice logo on the front, that thing. Oh boy. So that is the final product. This is still considered a prototype because it's not the one that is, in mass production type, manufactured, I should say. Currently, we have tooling and we have 5 manufactured units that are on the way. Yep. 5, our first 5 samples.
Yep.
That are on the way. So we are very excited to get those. That's going to be really exciting to get those in our hands, and see what that product's like, see if there's any, changes we need to make, really do a lot of testing. And we didn't want to put out a product. The reason I think we could have probably thrown something out there a year ago.
We could have got something out there a while ago.
Yeah,
yes,
we could have. But I'm glad we didn't, looking back now, because there's a lot of things I think that would have had negative feedback and been a problem and things we had to tackle. Oh, we didn't think about that. And we really took time to try to really make this a quality product that has answered most of the questions and most of the issues. We've already tackled them. We've dealt with them and figured out ways around them to make it a really useful product to actually benefit people.
Yep.
Make things move smoother, or however you want to think of it. So yeah, we're really excited about that, getting those, and gonna our big next goals for the product is to work with some hotels and start some pilot programs. So pilot programs meaning that we're going to work with some hotels, get these installed into their lobby. We're going to install a sign with a survey, a link to a survey so that people can answer some questions we have about the product, find out what they think, see when it's actually now in use, in public use on a day-to-day basis. Is there any other problems that we're going to need to tackle? What are the obstacles there? Get some good feedback from the hotels, and then be able to really start to hopefully get these installed in the local hotels first and move out.
Yeah.
And start from there and go from there.
The Minneapolis airport area is kind of a cool area because it has the Mall of America directly next to it. Hotels, there's the Mall of America. People like to go buy stuff, and so we're gonna be working out some pilot programs around there. I think that's where the first few are gonna be. And like she says, people are gonna get in there, start using them, love them, hopefully.
Right? Yeah,
Come on.
Right. I mean, we've had enough feedback that we do believe that, but it is, and I think that's one of the things. It's always a risk. We knew that we knew when we took this on that it might not work. There is a chance.
Right. And there was when we took this on, it was like, hey, I have an idea. We didn't think hey, let's build a scale company.
Right.
We didn't think that at all. We just thought, let's invent this. And then it was kind of moving forward. And then it was all right, we're going to get into manufacturing. And we were like,
whoa, how did we get here?
What are we going to do when we get a pile of them?
Right. So it's like, wait, all of a sudden now we're manufacturers and sellers.
Yeah, then it became marketing and all this stuff. And it was just, I don't even want to say slowly, it kind of quickly transformed into wow, we're building a scale company.
Yeah.
And so...
Right.
It's
right.
What?
Huh?
If you'd have told me this 5 years ago, I would have been like, no, I'm going to repair cars. Maybe I'll get a job, sometime different than this. But I mean, a scale company of our own?
What?
I don't think so.
Yeah. And that's, we're that kind of at that point where it's moving to that next stage, I think, is that we're at the point of the next stage. We're super excited about it. And we hope to be able to get this out as a pretty common use product, at least in hospitality, in your hotels and motels, Airbnbs, cruise ships, whatever, pretty common that people see it. That's our goal for it. And I think that'll be pretty amazing. And then we also have some different uses that we're excited about that could be done with it, from agriculturally to sports and recreation to a different retail use, a shipping use,
There's
anything.
So many.
There's so many, because we came to find out that pretty much anything you can hang, you can weigh. That's it. All you need is a way to be able to hang it on to the scale, and you can weigh it and you can find out what it weighs. And we even developed a fishing accessory for it. Here, we got it on the video for you guys. It's a barbless hook on some paracord made kind of attachment that you can hang right in the middle of the landing pad, and you can then go ahead and weigh your fish on that barbless hook.
You want to go ahead and pull down on that? So if you got a fish, put it on there, easily weigh it.
Yeah.
Once you figure it out, you can actually close it up with it in there. What I found is you just hook it right on the front.
There you go. So,
in Minnesota, we do ice fishing. Talking about this anywhere else, people are like, what the heck? What do you drive on a lake? But so there's ice fishing. These aren't necessarily made for your boat. We've not found a good way to mount this on your boat for the summer. So we're not yet.
Maybe in the future.
Maybe in the future. We're not sure there. But we do find that you could mount this on the wall in your ice house, ice castle, Yeti, whatever brand you would like. You can find a way to mount this thing on the wall there.
Yep.
A lot of people just measure the length, but people do weigh the fish as well, right? So this is a simple way. If you got this thing just hanging there, and you're like, oh, I caught this hog, right?
I'd like to know how much it weighs.
I would like to know how much it weighs, and just the easy way to do it, right? And so,
yeah, all kinds of different things there. So who knows? We do have a lot of potential in the future for different things. And one thing we did realize too is that when we first started thinking about all these things, we thought, okay, we're going to do them all, right? Like we're going to market to the agricultural market. We're going to market to this. We're going to market to that. And we came to understand that that's too much.
It's
especially for
small company.
It's just Broc and I. When we say we're a small company, we're the only two working this kind of on the daily.
Yeah, along with our full-time work that we do.
We both have full-time jobs. So trying to do something like that with who we are was pretty difficult. And we actually got a lot more done and moved forward a lot faster, I think, and with a clear vision of like one market.
Yeah, when we found that market,
sure. That was huge.
It was like, okay.
It was huge for us.
Because it's the biggest numbers market out of all of it. So, I mean, that's kind of what you have to pick, right?
Yeah.
And I think it's a market that we could, I think we could enjoy being a part of this market, right? Seems to be great people so far. It's just seems like a good market. Like we could fit right in.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I think everything was leading to yes.
Yeah, I think so. And you were definitely too, we'd love to, okay, we're going to have to erase that part because I totally lost my train of thought.
That's okay.
All right. So what I was going to get into was, so what we're dealing with now too is obviously everybody knows about the tariff things and things like that going on, although there has been some resolution recently, it sounds like, or at least temporary reprieve. So we'll see what's happening, but it's all very much up in the air a little bit with how that is going to roll out. And we've been looking at it because our current plans and manufacturing is happening in China. So This was something that really did affect us. And we've talked a lot about that. And we would love to move our manufacturing to the United States. Currently, it's not quite feasible for us to do that in the current situation, but, possibly in the future, partnering with a current scale company in the United States, I think that would be pretty awesome.
I think
that
would be a great way to
I would love to
enter the field and really get a footprint, right?
Yeah.
And make a great partner.
Absolutely.
If there's a scale company that does their own manufacturing in-house or in the United States, and it's like, if we can somehow get in the door there, that would be awesome.
Right. I think that would be a great, because like you said, I don't know that we never planned on like developing a scale company. I'm not even sure we know how, but being able to partner with somebody that can help us really move that and really help with that manufacturing piece of it, because it is really complicated. I had no idea how complicated all this was beforehand. It's not just like, oh, well, just move it then. Just so it's just like anything else where you don't really know what's happening until you get into it. And it's not that easy. It's not like you can just pick it up and move it even if you want to on those parts of it. So going forward, we're really excited about finding out what the next big step is for it. We're looking at different partnerships maybe, or working with investors, working with some different companies to really help us be able to take us to the next level. So far, it's Broc and I bootstrapping this whole thing. The whole thing.
Yep. And it's been expensive and trying, and definitely I wouldn't take back any of it, but it's just been a lot. And so we wouldn't be opposed to an investor into the company, but we would do it at a fair market rate.
Well, and I think then I think one of our things too is like when we're looking for investors, you always think, oh, it's all about the money. But I think what we've realized through our learning about, investing in, really when you're looking at a larger investment into an entire company, into a startup, because that's what we are. We're a startup. So if you're looking to invest into a startup and things like that, it's really having somebody that can offer some assistance in that as well. Yeah. Shark Tank, love Shark Tank, right? How many times have we heard people tell us to go on Shark Tank?
Just as many times as we've been told we're geniuses.
Yes. If I tell you what, if we had $1 for every time somebody said go on Shark Tank, we wouldn't need an investor.
We would not.
We wouldn't need to go on Shark Tank.
Have you thought about going on Shark Tank?
Right. Yes, I do. Yes. And of course we've thought about it, and we've watched a ton of Shark Tank.
It's kind of like one of those options where, like, if you're going to do it, I guess you're going to do it, right? But we haven't made that call. And there's part of it too is like, if you go on there without any sales history,
people get beat up pretty good up there.
They might beat you right up.
Yeah.
I've also seen ones with no history, and
they get it, and it's like.
And so we go on there with a patented product, and they see the potential in the hotel industry, and then they have connections in the hotel industry already. And it's like, tomorrow this could be already up and going. And you're like, yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Right.
And so
we've thought about it more lately about actually now that we do have an actual, manufactured product, right?
Yep.
We have tooling, we've proved, it's fully proven that this product can exist, because that's a big part of actually your idea. There's a lot of ideas that unfortunately just can't or never are made into actual physical products.
Yep.
Because either there's manufacturing issues where you just can't engineer it to do that thing, or products you need won't work, or it's too expensive. That happens a lot, to where
you just can't quite cover the cost.
You just can't quite justify the cost, what you're going to have to charge for it in order to manufacture.
And we're trying to keep our costs reasonable with this thing. The end price is $199 to the customer.
Yeah.
We do bulk discounts too after that, but we're trying to keep it reasonable. And we were trying to keep it around half of that at the beginning.
We were at first,
and it was like the cost went up. Then they went up 40%, and it was like, man.
Yeah, there's and it gets costly. And the thing with this too is we've also realized too with this product at $199, this is a commercial product, right?
Yes, we should mention that this is a commercial grade product. We made this with the hotels in mind, so that you're going to have your kids are going to want to hang on this. You're going to have who knows what adults are going to want to do on this thing, right?
Adults are
so we've put it through its paces. I've mounted this on a metal shelf in the garage, or even on a wood stud in the house. I'm 200 pounds. I can open this arm. I can hang from this arm. It'll only register to 99.9, but I can hang from this. And it doesn't even make a sound. Anything. Yeah. It doesn't even flex.
It does.
It's got a really nice, thick stamped steel skeleton inside of it. It's really nice.
Yeah.
And when we get these sample ones, we're going to put one through the test and see how much it'll hold. But my guess is around 400 pounds or so, it'll probably bend. I think some of the plastic
might start to break apart a little.
Will kind of like start to break apart. But then I think the skeleton in the arm is going to bend. I don't even think anything's going to actually break, because this thing is so solid.
Yeah.
If I had this thing apart, well, let me see the other one.
It doesn't.
Does it have the?
No.
Oh,
it doesn't have the same. We didn't do it on that one.
I wanted to show you guys, but this thing is the way it's mounted, the way the skeleton of this thing and the arm folds open. It kind of has these like locking features and these grabbing features on the bottom that hold the weight of this whole thing, and they're double reinforced, triple reinforced. Really... the way this thing is made is amazing.
Yeah, it's definitely
when you see this thing right
strong.
Now, this thing weighs 3.5 pounds.
Yes,
it's about the size of your old cordless phone. If anyone of you guys have ever had an old cordless phone on the wall, it's about the size of that. I'm a full-grown man. Here's my hand.
Yeah,
it's not super small, but it's heavy duty, and it's made for the hotel industry.
Yeah, it's made for commercial use, right? It's made for public use. So there is, if there's a call for it, right? We figured we'll pay attention to our market, pay attention to what's happening with consumers. We definitely have had, don't get me wrong, we have had consumers say, I want one now. They didn't care at all. Like, I travel a lot and I need that.
Yep.
Right.
Or I know somebody, everybody knows
who
somebody
does
that
need that. And they're happy to like get it for a gift for somebody or something like that. So, it definitely will always sell it to a consumer. There's no problem with that. But we'll definitely keep an eye on the market. And if there's a call for it, there is an opportunity to be able to manufacture a unit that maybe isn't as heavy duty. And then we can cut some of the costs of manufacturing to be able to make it more affordable for in-home consumer.
Well, think if we could pare it down, like you could, if you had an in-home one that was a little bit less, right?
Yep.
Same thing for luggage, but then you have one that's like half the size, and you could mount it inside of a cupboard, and you could use it for different cooking things.
You could, all kinds of stuff. Yeah, and that's the thing. It's, there's definitely a lot of different uses for it, depending on what you do. I've talked to backpackers that said that they'd really like to use it because the weight of their hiking bags is really important.
Every pound matters.
And sometimes they actually have like limits to them and things, because you might have like mules carrying them for a little bit or things like that.
Yeah.
So they have to be able to figure that out, and being able to just hang the bag and decide, okay, here's what I'm going to put in it. And because it will progressively weigh, they were like, oh, that would be excellent for these, extreme backpackers, things like that. So just things I never even thought about using it for.
Yep.
I think that especially when you have a new product that's never been out there before, you don't know what all the uses are for it yet. We learn all the time. It's been really
the little
exciting.
Puddle jumper planes, you're going to skip in and go do some fishing somewhere. They could have this thing mounted inside the plane.
Yeah.
In their little
right in like a little
garage or-
entry area or whatever you call it, galley.
Whatever.
The galley.
Right, and those guys are like 25 pounds a bag. They're got
Right.
it's like really.
It can be really strict sometimes because they can't have they need those weight limits. Have
you ever seen those planes that take off with like a 9-foot runway?
I know, right?
Okay, so we're gonna make this work.
Yeah,
huh?
yeah. Oh gosh, what was that airport that I was at in California? There's an airport in California, and I don't remember exactly which one it was, but when you take off out of there, so when you're leaving, because it is the runway points towards the ocean, and it goes over some fancy part of the beach over there. And so in order to avoid that, like it is like a straight vertical
they just
out of that airport.
Up off the ground.
And they even tell you, I was glad they told me because I had never flown out of there before. And they were like, hey, never flown out of here before. It's a pretty steep ascent. And yes, it was. You just reminded me of that when
they
like the 9-foot runway.
They had a 40-pound bag limit at that place, right? we need this plane a little lighter,
right? It's got to go up. So, but yeah, I kind of digress there. It's probably an unnecessary story.
Good old airports, right?
Airports.
That's the whole
travel.
thing. We're just trying to, not slow down the line, keep people going, keep some money in your pocket, and spend it on vacation, not at the airport.
The travel day is stressful enough. I feel like, at least for me, travel days are my least favorite days. I'm sure for everybody out of the vacation, everybody wants to be on vacation, but I just want travel days to be as seamless as possible, right? Like just go through all the steps and make sure we get through what we need to get through without any issues, like plane delays and things like that. Oh, they're just brutal, right? So anything I can do to avoid any kind of delay is
confusion and delay.
Right.
Thomas says.
Yes. Right. There you go.
Oh yeah.
Confusion and delay.
Heck yeah.
But yeah, we're pretty excited about it, and we're excited to see where it goes. We've come a long way, but we still have a big journey ahead of us still.
Right. It's been 4 years, right?
Yeah.
And then we come up into some of these tariff things all of a sudden, right when we're getting ready to get them shipped and made. So then we come into all these tariffs and everything as we're trying to get these things shipped over here. And it's like, how does this come at this exact time?
Right. We couldn't have.
You couldn't make this up.
Right.
And so we're sort of at just like a little bit of a pause right now.
Yeah.
We're going to take this time, take our samples, get a few pilot programs, hopefully started around town, and kind of take this time to gather some info and see if things can settle down or what's going to happen. We're not fully sure what's going to happen there, but we're going to see.
Well, we know, and it's a pause because we know we're not going to stop. We just have to figure out what the next best path is. And we can't really figure out what that path is until we know how all this dust is going to at least sort of settle. Right. And, it's just too up in the air right now to make these major decisions.
And I feel like if we make a quick move, we're going to definitely probably spend money that we shouldn't be spending, that we don't have. And then if we settle back a little bit and get ready to make a solid decision, I think that's where we're going to come out the best. A little bit of a pause, but you know what?
And we're still doing things in the background. We're still, having conversations, trying to get, we're definitely still trying to talk with hoteliers and brands and things like that to start arranging pilot programs and, arranging how that's going to look, because that takes time. It's not like that just happens in a week. It is not a quick process. Yep. So there's a lot of approvals and people that need to
up the
chain and then back down the chain and then maybe back up the chain again and the whole thing. So,
and a lot of it with the hotels is they want to see the bottom line. What's this going to do for me? And it's kind of like, well, you got to understand that this is going to get you repeat guests, right? Because people come to your hotel, they know they've been taken care of.
Yeah.
Now they're going to be, next time they travel, they're going to be looking for your hotel brand. And so this is the goal, right? We're going to keep you getting repeat guests over and over and over. And so we hope that you can see the vision and they can see the vision and everybody will see those bright blue numbers on their wall.
Well, it's really funny. I thought about this one time when I generally don't stay at like super fancy hotels. I mean, I don't, whatever. Midline hotels are great for me, fine with me. Whatever. I like Airbnbs too. But one time I stayed at a very, what I felt like was a very high-end hotel. And I remember in the room, it was like fully automated, But you could program this room to do everything. You could program it to open the blinds at a certain time and start music with soft lighting to wake you up. You could have it programmed to turn on the TV at a certain time. Like I had an iPad that I was controlling all the lighting with, all the different stuff, like the temperature, everything. So, but guess what the one thing I couldn't do in that room was?
Weigh your bag.
Weigh my bag. And I just remember thinking it was really funny because it was like, out of all the things I can do in here, I still can't do something as simple as figure out the weight of my luggage.
Do they still have all the normal stuff like your coffee and your iron and your...
Yeah, all the normal stuff
but then
too.
Everything was just fully electronic.
Fully done up, right?
Did they have a class at the beginning where you have to learn how to use it?
I legitimately could not figure out how to turn off the lights.
See, that would be hard to
for
sleep.
a super long time because I didn't know I needed to use the iPad. I thought the iPad was just like an alarm clock.
Right.
Like type of thing, because it was just sitting there.
It's on like a dock.
Yeah, it was like on like a dock and it was just sitting there. And so I couldn't figure out what I was doing for a while. And then I figured it out. But I'm not saying that wasn't cool. No, it's great. It was cool. It was great. It was fine.
But as a customer,
right?
Did that save you money? Did it like help you the next day? Maybe if you wake up to soft music and it's like you wake up on the right side. I don't know.
Yeah, like I felt like I felt a little spoiled. I kind of felt like, oh, this is like a nice extra perk. But that's all I really felt about it. You know, like I don't know that I would go, oh, I'm going to go back to that hotel because I could open the blinds with an iPad.
No. See, for me, I would like hope, I would hope that it was just mechanical switches and just
Well, you deal with that in a different light though as well. As a mechanic, you see how much electronics can cause issues.
Yeah, so just please, like if I wake up in the middle of the night and the lights are on because this thing just magically turned them on, like someone before me set it to turn on and then there's music, ZZ Top is rocking at 2 a.m. I don't know. It's just like I hear you. I love a mechanical switch.
Yeah, something about just a mechanical switch is great.
Be right where I put it.
Yeah, so we'll see how it goes, and we're gonna keep doing it until it works. So, as that's the other thing, I think that is a big part of having success with something is just going until you just don't give up.
Yep.
And so we're not giving up. We're gonna keep plugging this away.
And we have a feature on our website right now where you could leave an email. Or not?
I do believe there is. You can sign up for our newsletter on there. And we are going through a website revamp right now. So we're going to be changing around some stuff. So if you do go on there, you can always go on our website and look at our About Us page.
Check out the blog.
Check out our blog. We've got some blogs up on there. We also have, a full hospitality page. We've got use videos. We've got all kinds of stuff. So a bunch of stuff you can check out on our website to see, as well as we're working on kind of revamping with some new artwork and some new things now that we're getting more closer to what we
we're getting the website kind of dialed in the way.
So you'll see some changes in that.
So
but there's going to be an option. You can, if you sign up for our newsletter, that's the option right now. Or you can always hit the contact us form if you want to ask us a question or reach out to us at all. Leave us your email in there. But you will also be seeing, we're going to be creating a reserve yours section, essentially, where you can go in if you're interested in reserving a product for when they are available for use. It doesn't cost you anything right now. It's just you put your name on a list as somebody that, wants to be on that product, and then we'll get you on the list to be the first ones that it's offered to when we do our first major production run. And you will also be getting some exclusive discounts and fun stuff like that. So
yeah, definitely, it'll be worth doing it. It'll be on there versus waiting.
Yeah, and there's no obligation for you to purchase it at the end if you choose not to, but it's going to give us an opportunity. And I'm going to be honest, it really helps us with looking at different investors, or if we're working with if we're trying to get loans, things like that, being able to say, hey, we have people who do want the product when it comes out. It's helpful for us to be able to work with that as well. And it helps us
because we definitely had some pre-sales, and those are the ones that fully paid into it. But then if someone is like, I want it, but I don't want to order it until I know it's going to be shipping like same day type thing, which is how a lot of people are. And I'm totally cool with that.
Yeah.
But if that is your case, let us know.
Yeah.
And then we can just kind of have a better head count type of thing. Not that
right. Well, it's just like anytime you're trying to plan for something, we have to look at, we're ordering these, especially if we continue to order from overseas, there's shipping things we have to look at. How much of a container are we taking up? You know, if you have too small of an order, you're actually wasting a ton of money because you still need the same size container, right? But you also, too big of an order, do you want to sit on that much inventory? Because you got to pay for it up front, and then hopefully that type of thing. So just different things like that help us to be able to plan and be able to execute a little better in the future for what type of production run we want to do. How many units do we want to put on the orders? So,
yeah. Heck yeah.
Yeah. So we're super.
Yeah. No pressure, but
no, if it's out there, if you want to, just go check it out, spread it around. We always appreciate that. Give us a heads up if you have any questions. And if you have anybody you know that we need to talk to, if you see this and you decide you want to have a conversation with us or have some questions, again, go on our website. Or reach out and we'll be happy to chat. We're very
happy to talk to you. If you have a vacation rental and you think that this would benefit your guests,
let us know. We would love to get you on that list to get those units in. So for sure.
Yeah. How are we sitting on time?
Oh, where are we at? Oh, we're doing pretty good. We're just about there, about an hour here.
Sounds good. What else can we say? Do we got anything else to talk about?
I don't think so. I think we went through a lot.
This is our baby.
It's a big journey.
This is our baby. It's on our minds every day. And just keep doing what we're doing.
Keep doing what you're doing. Yeah. And if you don't ever think that you can't do something, I don't know, I guess, right? Like I said at the beginning.
This is proof right here.
I never thought I'd be an inventor. I never dreamed of being an inventor, but I can be. And when we are, right? Like we have a patent and and the only thing that we did different, I think, from anybody else is we just didn't stop. We didn't give up. We didn't say it's not going to work.
Well, right. If you look at the tallies, right, and you go back and it was like, I'm not going to start that unless I know it's going to be perfect all the time. And it's like, well, you better not start.
Then you better not start. Right.
But we had our ups and downs and our mountains and valleys and everything. And
yeah, it hasn't been, I'm not going to say it's been an easy journey. There's been really, really, really hard times. There's been really, really, really exciting times. There's been boring times, right? There's been times where it felt like nothing was happening. There's been times where it felt like way too much was happening.
There's times where it feels like you're hounding people.
Yes,
that your friends are like, dude, shut up. And you're just like, well, if I'm not a walking billboard for myself, guess what? Nobody else is going to be. So I will shut up, yes. But only for a little while. No, I'm just kidding.
Right.
You gotta,
but it's a journey and you just got to keep going and and keep going. And when things don't work, I think the other thing is we've done a lot of things that haven't worked. So that's the thing.
It doesn't mean the first thing we tried here is the working unit.
Right. Even with prototypes, right? It's a good solution. There's never just one prototype and all of a sudden, boom, you got it all perfect and right.
Right. Like don't let it discourage you. This prototype that we didn't get the right deal on. We spent thousands of dollars on to realize that we got it, wrong and that we had to go right back to the drawing board. Even though what we didn't realize is that this was closer than we've ever been, even though it was wrong. It was like it proved the point that this can work.
Yeah.
We went back to it. Take a deep breath, maybe take a little tiny break.
Even a wrong plan or even a bad plan, I should say, is better than no plan.
Yeah.
So you got to just kind of like go and you got to just try something. I think like we just had to go, okay, well, let's just start talking to somebody who can engineer this for us because we can't. We know we can't do that. So just start there.
Yeah. If you don't know how to do something, find somebody smarter than you.
Absolutely.
Put your ego aside.
Yeah.
Find somebody smarter. Get some help with it. Pay them the money they need to get paid to do the job they need to do.
Right.
And guess what? In the end, you're going to be better because of it.
Yeah, for sure.
Heck yeah.
Super thankful for all the people who have supported us on this journey and who continue to support us. I'm always overwhelmed with how many people are just super excited for us that I didn't even know about. You know,
oh my gosh,
it's amazing.
It's not always the ones that are the loudest. That
it's not.
It's like all of a sudden you hear from certain people that you had no idea they were even listening.
Right, you had no idea they even knew about it, and they're like, "Man, I've been, keeping up and you guys are doing awesome.
Keep an eye on what you're like, what? Keep making them stupid videos. And I'm like, I thought I wasn't supposed to.
Yeah. So it's amazing. We just want to thank everybody out there that, has supported us or will support us or continue to support us, future support. And, we want to support the people around us too. I think that's something that's really important to the both of us is we know what it takes to start companies or do big things or do things that just are kind of a little bit outside of like standard, things and how much support you need with that and how much it means to us when we have that support. So let us know what you guys are doing out there too. We would love to,
right. We would love to get
help to support you any way we can, whether it's making connections or giving you some advice or
well, if there's
whatever.
people with a cool story, well, you want to come on and tell your story. We'd love to talk to you.
We'd love to talk to you, hear your story.
We're not here doing like big interviews, but it's like, let's talk.
Yeah.
Let's just talk.
Talk about your experience. Let us know what your journey looked like. I think that's where you never know what can help somebody else in their journey. And I think we tend to think that it's got to be like this motivational speech or this some like super grand thing, but most people don't have those super grand. We were just a lot of people doing this normal things kind of, and being able to just hear from normal people that did something really cool and that anybody can do it. It's really encouraging, I think. So, yeah.
Yep. And if you've got other people in your life that are, doing something they're proud of, make sure you're encouraging them too, because it's easy to be like, wow, they're doing something really, really big. Like they must be all strong inside and everything, but still encourage them and tell them they're doing something awesome. Let them know. People need to hear that.
Yeah.
My neighbor right now took a golf cart and a 4-wheeler and he's combining the two.
Oh, yes.
I've not talked to him yet, but he's got something going on.
Check out what's going on over there for sure.
It looks like a good time.
Yeah, you have me interested. I may start to become invested in this from my window.
Are you welding in the rain?
Yes, last night I'm pretty sure it was welding in the rain.
I love it. He's a young guy with a lot of ambition.
Yeah.
So.
Hey, there you go. Right. It's great. It's great. So
yeah, thanks for listening, guys.
Thanks, guys.
Stay tuned for the next one, and
we'll keep it on our weekly schedule here.
Yeah, sorry about last week.
Now that we got the audio
hopefully
figured out.
Hopefully audio works today.
Yeah, it better work.
No, it'll work. We tested it. But yeah, thanks, guys. Have a good day.
Peace.
Stay in the fast lane.